This episode of I Was a Teenage Film Snob is not brought to you by Movieland rental houses, because they kind of don't exist anymore. Also, quick spoiler warning for this week's episode. Liz and I talk about the Thor trailer having not been released. That was recorded 3 days before the trailer was released, so we got it wrong, but that's okay. Enjoy the episode. Welcome to I Was a Teenage Film Snob. I'm James Chalmers, and yes, that intro is getting very repetitive. I was a teenage film snob, and I am trying to be better. This week's guest is another member of the family, someone who probably I've messaged the most in regards to setting it up, because I was very excited that she agreed to jump on. Her sister told me that she probably wouldn't want to come on, but we proved her wrong, which is very exciting. I've known today's guest for close to 15 years now. And she's always one of the most excited people to talk about movies whenever I catch up with her. Generally Marvel movies, but whenever we sit down at a family gathering, she's like, oh, I want to talk to you about this, which is exactly the kind of passion that we like in our conversations. So hopefully we'll get more of that today. Before I let her speak, I'm going to say a couple of things about her, because once I do, she'll start denying it, but it is true. Today's guest is an absolute artist. She really is. She'll always deny it, but she really is fantastic, whether it's her baking or her cookery or her interior design. Someone who I'm very inspired by every time I talk to. Please welcome today's wonderful guest, my sister-in-law, Elizabeth Anderton.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, James. It's, you actually got me quite emotional. So I thank you so much for inviting me to come on your podcast. So I feel really chuffed that you would like to chat. So
it's true though.
Like, lovely. Thank you.
Obviously, the first episode Tina was on, so made sense. And then your husband David, just so the audience knows they can connect the dots, came on, and we had quite a good conversation. But it's true. Like, I was saying this to David as well. Whenever we get together at family events, it's the four of us sitting down. Like, okay, we'll do the obligatory hellos and get our meal. Okay, have you seen that movie? Let's talk about it. So of course I had to have you on. Absolutely.
No, I feel very blessed. So thank you so much. And what an introduction. Just touches my heart. So
I always think, whenever I think about talking to you about movies in particular, it is always Marvel stuff, which I know that you weren't, and we'll probably get into this a bit later, but you weren't, you know, a comic person growing up. Neither was I, but through David, obviously, you've come to love those movies. But I always think about, there's a Christmas, I want to say 2 or 3 years ago, where we sat down, it might have been a Star Wars film or an Avengers film, and we're like, before we get started, has anyone not seen it? We don't want to spoil it. And your brother George just goes, guys, we don't care. We don't care. Talk as much as you want.
Yes, definitely. That definitely has happened in the past where I'm like, oh my God, have you seen this movie yet? Like, because I don't want to start talk about it unless you had, like, because I'd hate to, like, spill it or spoil it for you, yeah.
But it is true. Like, of all the adults in that room, we're the only 4 people who talk about movies. Everyone else is talking about, like, their careers and, like, talking about, you know, family, what's going on, you know. And we're just like, no. Have you seen that Marvel movie yet?
And it's been such a great influence to have you and David, I must say, like, with the Marvel, because you're right. I didn't ever know about the comics. The comics I used to read were Archie, which is great. I love Archie comics.
I didn't know that you read Archies. That's news to me.
Yeah. Can you believe this, James? Like, I remember I was in about grade 4, so that would have been like 1993 or so, and some teacher had given me a whole, like, milk crate full of Archie comics that they were going to throw out.
Nice.
And so I just actually I said to the teacher, can I take these home so I can read them? And they were like legit the like 1960s or 1970s ones. And then I don't know what happened to them. I don't know. I obviously didn't keep them, but some of them had been torn and damaged and that. But yeah, so that was my extent. That was my extent of comic reading. And I think George, my brother, had some Garfield comics, but yeah, I didn't know much about Iron Man, and I knew about Superman and Batman, but yeah, the movies have certainly opened my eyes to that whole world, which has been so great to watch and be part of. And yeah.
I'm just blown away that you read Archie's. Like, not that I've known him 15 years. It's the first time I've heard Archie's name be mentioned in conversation.
Yeah. I still love that art. Yeah, I still love Archie. I don't know.
Yeah, Archie's great. So, people make fun of it now because it's a bit tame, I suppose. But I don't know. It's just stories about teenagers trying to fit in. Like, nothing wrong with Archie. Were you Team Betty or Team Veronica?
I was a bit of both, I think. Yeah, I definitely was a bit of both. So
just
sometimes
like Archie.
I was like, I liked the sort of, the angelic Team Betty, but then Veronica was a bit sort of, that was what it was, isn't it? Yeah, I got that right.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So, so that was me there. But I don't know what happened to those comics. God, they'd be worth so much now if I'd kept them. Like, I don't know, maybe not.
Yeah, you ask your mum if they're in the attic or something. Like, hey, let's make a quick buck.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
Nice one. So I imagine that, like, your story, I mean, maybe not, I could be wrong, is probably similar to Tina's, because obviously you grew up together and I've spoken to her a little bit. But where does kind of that fascination with movies begin for you? Are you going to the movies as a kid a lot? Does it more kind of weekly trips to the video store, or do you not see them until a lot later? Like, where does it begin?
Yeah, so growing up in the 80s, my story is very similar to Tina's, because there's 5 years difference between the two of us. And then George, our brother, is only like 14 months difference between me and him. So often it would be a case of mum taking us to the movies. We did have a video player, but we didn't buy a lot of movies, and we didn't rent a lot. So probably Tina would say that our movie selection was pretty limited, and there was no Netflix and we didn't have cable or anything. So I was actually thinking about this, and I thought, what was the first movie that I can remember that I watched at the movies? And I'm pretty sure it was The Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
So that was the first movie I saw, and I just loved that. And then I think it got on to like Sleeping Beauty, Beauty and the Beast.
Yep.
So it was a lot of Disney movies. So often we would sort of go to Knox Cinemas or to Pinewood Cinemas.
Where's that?
So Pinewood is a little shopping strip, Mount Waverley area, off Forster Road. Okay. And this cinema, I think it still exists actually. And it was, Mum would often go there we'd go with some family friends of ours that kids were around the same age. I don't actually recall Tina being there, because some of the movies might have been a little bit too old for her to understand. So whether she was at home with Dad and Mum would take us out, I don't know, I can't remember. But we used to go to this gorgeous little cinema, which is sort of tucked in a little corner of these strip of shops, and it was really cheap. Like, the tickets were probably about $10 cheaper than getting them from Knox.
Wow.
Which was pretty big, because tickets used to be a lot of money.
Oh,
yeah. So we would go there, and we'd bring little snacks with us. Sometimes we'd get popcorn, but it was that typical little movie theater with the red velvet chairs, but it was like a little bit crinkly to sit on. It was no gold class, but it was fun. It was good, and it had, like all the little like bulb lights all over the place. And so it was very, like, it was old. It smelt like a theatre. So that was what we would do on the holidays. And then I remember seeing, what was it called? The Never Ending Story.
Yep.
And then I think it was one like The Addams Family. We used to watch a lot of those sorts of films.
Yeah.
So that's where it sort of started from. And then as I got into my teenage years, I'd go with friends to Knox City and watch some movies, like often comedies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So my taste I'm not into horror. So in terms of movies, I wouldn't really actively go and choose a horror movie. But then interestingly, I've watched things like Dexter. I don't get that. Like, I'll watch Dexter and I love Dexter. So or True Blood or like gory sort of Deadpool. I love Deadpool. So, but I just, I'm not into horror films. So,
I think with horror,
so that's where it sort of started from, the bit of a background. Yeah.
Definitely. I think with horror, it's one of those things where there's so many subgenres now. Like, because Tina's not into horror either. And every now and then, like last Halloween, I was like, please, it's Halloween. Could we just try and watch a couple of horror films together? And I curated the list. I was like, I'll pick stuff that you won't be scared by. And I think like Dexter's a good example, like because I know Tina enjoyed Hannibal and Silence of the Lambs, and I wouldn't necessarily call those horror films. Like they are, but it's more like it's a serial killer with a motive. Like there's nothing. They might do surprising things, but it's something we can control in the real world. But once you bring in, spirits and creatures in mirrors and small possessed children, that's when it's a little bit a bit more scary. And I think that's kind of how she approaches it. So.
Like The Conjuring or something like that.
Conjuring's a great example. Conjuring is a terrifying movie. That little film house that you went to, was that an independent one, the Pinewood one? Is it kind of just owned by, or is it like a chain?
Oh no, it would be an independent one. Yeah, because so we'll have to take you down there sometime. I'm pretty sure it's still open even after COVID, but. We'd go down there like a few times in the holidays. And it was just this little quaint place. I don't know what it's like now, but I know the movies are still pretty cheap there though. So, and sometimes they'd sort of show movies, like older movies as well, like, probably not like 1950s, 1960s movies occasionally. I haven't checked their list recently, but maybe have a look into it. So that's Pinewood Cinemas,
That's what I always wanted to do. I was like, one day, like if I can figure out how to afford it, I just want to open a little cinema house. Like I love the chain cinemas, and I'm not criticizing like Hoytsville Village or Reading. Like I love all that. Like I don't care. I'll throw down my $15 and go wherever it is. I don't care. But I love this little independent cinema house. I'd love to do that. I'm like, if I could have my own little movie house, just one or two screens, I can pick what's on. It doesn't like just I can be like, hey, we're doing like a double feature, Back to the Future and Bill and Ted or something like that. Like that to me is like that's what I wanted, what I'd love to do. But I looked into it before COVID, and I was like, gee, this movie business sure is expensive. So.
It's a great idea. Like how awesome would that be? I think people are looking for that experience too. So whether that's at a movie house theatre, like an independent one, or your Village or Hoyts, which is usually where I go to now, but it's kind of nice to have a different atmosphere, that sort of old world charm, like not so sleek looking, maybe the chairs are a bit rickety and I mean, I always thought as a kid, I was like, oh, I really want to go to Village, I really want to go to Knox, but Mum's like, nah, we're going to Pinewood, it's cheaper. I mean, she had 3 kids, so
I get it.
Think about how much it was. So but no, we didn't have video. We didn't really have videos, and unlike David, he was always at the movies and always picking up a video from Blockbuster or wherever. And when I first met him, that's what we would do. We'd either go to the movies a lot, like pretty much almost every date was at a movie, which was great. I actually really enjoyed it. And he really, really opened up my eyes to the cinema business sort of thing. Like, so I'd never watched Star Wars prior to meeting him. I knew of it, but I'd never watched it.
Because to me, it's so fascinating, because I know that Star Wars is a big part of Tina's youth. So it's so interesting that she watched it and like you guys under the same roof, and like there's just never that crossover.
No, yeah. So David's like, he goes, when I first met him, so we've been together for 21 years now, which is a very long time, but it's been going good and strong. And
your relationship can drink in America.
Yay! So like he said to me, he goes, so what movies have you seen? And I'm like, oh, I sort of rattled on with some of the movies I'd seen. And he's like, have you seen Star Wars? I'm like, no. And he's like, oh my God, you haven't seen Star Wars? I'm like, no. So he introduced me. He sort of started the trilogy, like, well, it's not a trilogy, well, it's quite a few different movies.
Like 11
and
or something.
Goes, you've got to start from the start. Yeah. So he started me from like how it came out, like each movie that came out from the 1970s. And initially I was like, this is different, but I enjoyed watching it. And so now I'm like, right, David, when's the next Star Wars movie? When's the next Marvel movie? When's the next, we've just been watching Moon Knight. I'm addicted.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's great.
Oh, I had no idea about this character either. And David had some knowledge, but not an awful lot. And I often refer to him as my encyclopedia. I'm like, David, so tell me, what does this character do, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, I don't actually know an awful lot about Moon Knight, but Oscar is such a great actor, and I loved him in Star Wars. And I'm like, he's gorgeous to look at personally. But, I really just love anything that he's in. And I'm really enjoying that. I'm just enjoying that. You enjoying it too?
Yeah, absolutely. We sat down and Tina comes to me and she's like, and I had the same time, I'm like, oh, I know that this. I know that he has like split personality. I know a couple of things, but I said, I don't really know much about it. He's kind of like Marvel's Batman, but like not entirely. And she's like, all right. And I think she's enjoying it more than I am. And I like it a lot. But Tina's like, when's Moon Knight out? I need to see Moon Knight.
Yes. Oh, it's brilliant. Yeah.
Nice one. Cool. So it sounds like, unlike most of us, the movies obviously become more frequented once we're in our teen years. Once we have a little bit of disposable income, we've got a part-time job. It seems like we were talking about Archie before, like everyone in their teens goes to movies. Archie went to the movies in the 70s and stuff, and we're doing it now. And I don't know whether you had this, but I remember when I became a teenager, especially towards my later teenage years, kind of 17, 18, 19, when I had a little bit more disposable income, I was like, why don't we get popcorn all the time? I can get popcorn. And then when Tina and I started dating, we were just like, who cares? We'll just dump a bunch of cash at the movies. But now that you mentioned the kid thing, I'm like, oh, yeah, now I get it. Now that I don't have so much disposable income again. Like, I go to gold class almost every time now, but I only go to the movies maybe 3 or 4 times a year. So, I'm like, look, if I'm going to the movies, I'm doing it properly. Like, Tina didn't come and see Batman with me because she was like, someone to look after Zoe. So I was like, right, well, the next one we're seeing is Doctor Strange, and we've got to do that in gold class. So, which I think is my most anticipated film of the year. Like, it looks incredible.
Interestingly, like, it's so funny. I go through phases because when the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe thing started, I was like, I wasn't interested in seeing Iron Man. Like, I don't know why.
Me too.
I was like, oh, I don't know if this is my thing. And it wasn't until they started, I didn't see Captain America either. And David's like, I don't know why you don't want to see Captain America. I'm like, I don't know. I just seemed a little bit, I just wasn't into it. And then once Thor started, I actually think Thor was what got me onto it. And then the other characters coming through, and now I will watch an Iron Man movie. I will watch a Captain America. I think it just took a while for me to warm up to it. And you'll probably see from the list of movies I'm going to be talking about are very, very opposite anything to do with Marvel and action and all of that.
But that's okay.
It's interesting because you do expand as you get older. Like, you start watching things that you didn't think that you would like, and you watch it and you're like, actually, that wasn't too bad, And so my taste in movies is quite all over the place. There's a bit of romantic comedy. There's a bit of stupid comedy. There's a bit of, I do love Marvel, although I haven't put that on my list of ones, but action packed. And then I've loved Deadpool, which is just bonkers, and then there's some, I was looking at my list and I'm like, oh, a lot of them I'm looking and I'm going, quite a lot of them have sort of got an emotional undertone. So I feel like when I go into the movies, I want to feel, and we all do, I want to feel that emotional connection. And if I don't feel that in the movie, then generally, I'm not really that keen, and I'm like, oh no, that wasn't such a good movie. Oh yeah, that was a really good movie. So, and I mean, that's what we do when we go to movies. We watch them because we want to get, even a stupid, funny movie, it makes you laugh, it makes you giggle, and, it makes you make up all these little jokes in your head to tell your friend the next day. But so I always looking for, when I'm watching a movie, if it makes me cry in a good way, then that's a thumbs up, double thumbs up for me. So, because I'm so emotional sometimes, just like Tina.
I'm with you though. Like, I 100% agree. Like, I don't really cry much in real life, but I will cry at the drop of a hat in a movie. If it's a well-made movie, I will cry. And that's where I do most of my crying. Like, and if I haven't cried in a while, I'm due for a cry. I'm like, which movie will get me there? Let me find. And so, like, right now, my go-to is The Big Sick, which I don't know if you've seen, but The Big Sick is a wonderful rom-com, and I'm not a big rom-com guy, but it's beautiful.
Yes.
And like, guaranteed by the third act, I will be in tears. So that's my go-to one. That or like Avengers Endgame, just because the last hour of that, I'm just in happy tears for an hour.
Yes, and I love that. I love that movie. Civil War and Endgame were like two of my favorite. And just have enjoyed watching them through and through. Yeah. And interestingly,
you had that new Spider-Man movie as well. I haven't watched it since the cinemas, but that will guaranteed make me cry. Like,
yes, that was brilliant. I love Tom Holland as well. He's just gorgeous. He's such a good actor, and Zendaya is just amazing. David and I got onto watching. So I watched The Eternals.
Yes.
In the cinema. And I didn't know much about the background of the Eternals and stuff.
I don't think anyone did, really. It was a very obscure one. Yeah.
It was, yeah. And I sat there and I watched it. I was like, I got emotional during it, but I was like, I'm not sure. I have to watch this again. So we actually watched it yesterday, and I was like, you know what? That was a brilliant film.
Nice.
Yes. The second time I watched it, I was like, yeah, sometimes it just needs to take for me like another watch for me to get
I've had
it.
a few of those, I remember the first time I saw Ant-Man, which I loved, but my experience in the cinema wasn't great. Like, I was, back in Lula where the ticket was really cheap, so you get, people who could afford cheap tickets and just kill time, and, a bare foot came between the armrest at one point. I got really disengaged. I wrote it off. But now Ant-Man is probably one of my favorite films. I think it's very charming, and especially now as a father, like seeing him trying to, just be there for his daughter, like despite all these mistakes he's made, like really gets me in a way that didn't beforehand. So
and you've got a daughter too, and you can relate to it more now. That's such a great film, Ant-Man. I didn't think I'd enjoy that when I saw it in the movies. I was like, actually, this is really funny, and I love Paul Rudd, so he's one of my favorite actors as well.
But Eternals is definitely on my list. I'm rewatching all of them at the moment. I'm just finishing up Black Panther, and then I'll be on to Infinity War. So got a few more movies to go, but Eternals is on my list. I think I'm about 8 movies away from Eternals. So
See, we got talking about Avengers.
It's going to happen. I don't think an episode goes by.
We can't stop. Your listeners will be like, oh, yeah, they were right. They do talk about it. This is what we do. That's right. And Easter's just around the corner, and that's what we're talking about is... I
know. I'm trying to think what came out. The only thing... the only thing that's come out is Batman, which Tina hasn't seen. The next thing... Well, it'll be Moon Knight. We'll be talking about Moon Knight, I imagine.
Yes, Moon Knight.
Because it'll just be finished by then. But, Doctor Strange won't be out, but... Absolutely.
Love it.
Well, talking about lists, let's have a look at yours. So you've written down your top 5 favourite movies. Now, are these in any order, or have you got them in order?
No, not particularly. So, I don't know. I was going to talk about maybe Austin Powers, because that was one of my favourite all-time movies. I'm a massive Mike Myers fan. That was one that came out when I was 16. And
which one is this, International Man of Mystery?
Yes, the first one, International Man of Mystery, yeah. And so that came out sort of 1997, I think. So I was 16, and I actually based my 16th birthday party, which was a 60s theme, around it.
Nice.
And I had a lot of influence. Mum, she always had 60s and 70s music playing up at home. So she always loved the hippie sort of time. So that really resonated with me, because I naturally gravitated towards that too. So growing up, when we watched movies at home, we'd watch them on a Saturday afternoon, and you'd watch movies like Elvis. I'm always had like an Elvis movie on, or like a James Bond, or some sort of old movie on. And I think that's where my 60s vibe came from. What was that?
That hasn't changed, by the way. I'll go over to your parents' house, and they'll be just got like old West. Your dad's only watching an old Western or whatever, a Yul Brynner or something like that. They've always got something on. Your parents,
and he's got it up. He's got it up so loud, it's like you can hear it before you get in the house. I'm like, Babs, and I'm like, and Mum's shouting over him, and they're both shouting at each other. It's just mayhem. I'm so glad I'm not the only person who has been witness to that. Love Austin Powers, one of my favourite movies. I actually hadn't seen Wayne's World prior to that. So
Yeah.
once I watched Austin Powers and then watched Wayne's World and just fell in love with all the characters. And I just love that whole, International Man of Mystery. I remember when the trailer first came out and it was just all colourful and happy and funny, and I was like, oh, this is right down my alley. So I saw it with a girlfriend, and then I said to Mum, I'm turning 16. I really want a 60s themed party, and she was really excited about throwing that for me. And she actually made a Miss Kensington dress, which was like a black leather sort of style dress with a big black buckle, and all the kids had to come dressed up in their 60s gear. So it was really fun. It was a great party.
Nice one.
Mum wanted to dress up as what's the mum from the Brady Bunch? I forgot to remember what her name.
Carol Brady.
Yes, it's Carol Brady.
Yeah.
So she dressed up as her, and one of my friends had a red crushed velvet suit.
Wow.
That was his dad's wedding suit from the 60s with a lacy cravat. Yeah, it was so good. And this is before, like, you could take, like, we had disposable cameras, and I'm sure there's photos somewhere, but, it's a shame that this day and age you've just got the phone on your camera and just take photos, and it was fun. Yeah, it was really good. Yeah, so that was my first one. I think I preferred the first movie from the other two.
Okay.
I think the first one being the original, and I think by the time you got to the third one, I still laughed at some of the characters, but I was sort of looking through the third movie and going, gee, you really couldn't have these characters this day and age, could you?
Yeah, it's crazy they got away with it when they did, to be honest. But I wasn't allowed to watch Austin Powers until I was probably about 15, I reckon, because when the second one came out in 99, so I would have been 11, and all the kids in my school were talking about it because, like, I guess most of the kids at the public school had some pretty lax parents. But my dad was like, nope, too raunchy. And I was like, really? And that being said, I watched Spy Who Shagged Me, I want to say, in the last 2 years. And some of the jokes they get away with, that I couldn't believe. Like, it's all euphemism and innuendo, but it's like, it's pretty crazy. That first one, though, I have to agree. Like, for the longest time, I was like, my order is 2, 1, 3. Like, Goldmember is the weakest one for me, and I used to love number 2 the most. But now going back, I think I've changed. I think number 1 is actually better. It's just you're right. It just sets the tone for that entire trilogy. Like, you just get a really good idea of who he is. You get there's the spa scene, which is hilarious. Who does number 2 work for? I also like to live dangerously. Like, it's a very quotable film. Like, especially early.
I also like to live dangerously. I mean, just like, just so many. You're exactly right. That's what I just loved about it. It was cheeky. It was fun. I mean, my most character that I didn't like the most was Fat Bastard. I didn't like it. It was too much. But I liked how there was just that, it was a bit of a dig at all of those, the James Bond 1967, Casino Royale, and I just loved all the fashion, and it just was fun, and I don't think they'll make another one. I don't think it will translate too well. Like, as much as it was fun to watch back then, I'm not sure if doing a fourth is going to translate very well. I heard there were rumours that they were, but I think it's probably done.
I don't know. I don't know how you make that work with a modern audience, because everyone who watched those movies growing up were around our age, would have been, kind of in that parental group. So we've all grown up. And I think if they tried to pull away some of those, they're not lame jokes for the time, but now they would be kind of, I think that to try and make a movie of that caliber in this generation would be considered quite tame. I think the only way to make it kind of still funny would be to raunch it up more. But then you're kind of pushing to, like, that more adult humor, and I don't know whether that suits that world either. So I think you're right. Like, look, if they make it, I'll go see it. Like,
I'd still go see it. I mean, I really want Isabella to see it, but for the same reason, she's only 12. Probably not quite at that age where she might not fully understand, like, especially the spa scene.
Yeah,
It's just
it's tough to explain who a lot of vagina is.
Yeah.
Like,
And it's so funny because I was thinking the other day, I was like, so I had a 60s party for my 16th. I'm turning 40 next year. And I was like, I'm thinking of doing a 90s party for my 40th because that was a while ago. So I must be just going back in the decades or something. I'm like, what's the next one going to be? You know, when I'm 50 or something, will be like 2000s or 2010s or something. So anyway, I love Austin Powers. It's fun. It's a bit of just cheekiness. I just wanted to do an honourable mention to a movie. I'm not sure if you might know this one. Have you heard of Brain Donors?
Tina talked about it on her episode.
Yeah.
I've seen it, yeah. Where they're doing the ballet and the big blanket rip.
I love that film as well. It's, again, just stupid, dumb comedy that is just brilliantly written, very like Three Stooges.
I don't think I didn't see it till I was probably in my mid-20s. It was right before we moved in together and we were away on a trip. Actually, I think on that trip we decided we were going to move in together. And Tina was like, we have to watch this. And I'd never heard of it. She'd mentioned it a few times, but I'd never heard of it, never seen it. I worked in 2 video stores. I'd never seen this movie. And I was like, what is this movie? And I would, like, to be fair, I wouldn't be able to tell you anything about the plot of it because I've only seen it the one time, but I remember it being absolutely as funny as she sold it to me. Like, really, really good. Yeah.
And do you know who picked that movie out, James?
Who picked it out?
Babs.
Oh,
Babs
really?
picked it out. Yeah. So I got that movie on a video cassette back in early 2000s, and Babs found it. We went to we were at the strip shop and there was a Blockbuster there and it was closing down. It was getting rid of video. So I said to Dad, I want to go and have a look, check it out, you know. And so he picked this one up. He goes, what about this? And I said, oh, that looks all right. Yeah, all right. It was only like $5 or something. So I picked it up, took it home, watched it, and it's hilarious. It's just so funny. And I think that's where Tina, I must have been watching it when she was there. No, she would have been okay. It would have been age appropriate because I think there's quite a few things in there that are raunchy, just like Austin Powers.
I think Brain Donors is only PG. I think that one's okay. Like Austin Powers is M. So, yeah.
It was hilarious. So, anyway, so Babs actually... So we can thank Babs. He picked that out and he just liked it. I don't know if he really actually read it or anything. He just was like, this looks good. And I was like, I read it and I was like, okay, yeah, we'll pick it up, $5 and pick something else up. And that ended up being something that I enjoyed watching. And David had never seen it too. So I remember when we first started dating, I'd set it up and he watched it at our place one time. And he's like, oh, that's really funny. And I used to cry from laughter because it's just so funny. So that's my funny movie that I would watch on repeat. And it really reminded me of a time where, I was 16, teenage. I was a happy teenager though. Like I just, quite happy just to go along, plod along with anything. And Austin Powers is just a really fun movie to watch. So it's probably one of my favourite ones there, yeah.
Nice one. It still holds up. You wouldn't be able to make it today, but, like, if you grew up with it, it still definitely works.
Yeah.
I also, one more thing on Austin Powers, I know we've got 4 more to get through, but I just remember one of my favourite moments in any of the films, I think it's in the second film, is Will Ferrell.
Yes.
Who plays Mustafa. Again, probably couldn't get away with it today because he's doing an accent and he's in a skin tone that probably isn't appropriate, but some of the lines... The wound is beginning to smell like almonds, which is not good. Like, we quote that to each other all the time. Like, if I'm ever trying to make Tina laugh, I'll rock that line and, yeah.
Oh, I know. And I didn't know much about Will Ferrell, but then, oh, my God, another one you've just sort of made me think about it was Zoolander. I absolutely love Zoolander as well. And Will Ferrell is amazing in that as well.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean, I didn't know much about Will Ferrell. I actually didn't recognize him with all the really bad makeup on his face to make him look Southern Indian or something. Yeah. It just was wrong. But yes, Mustafa goes, I do need some help here. No, that's okay. Oh, no, I broke my other leg. Yeah, it's hilarious. He's so clever. Like, it's so cleverly written. And that movie was inspired by Mike's dad, who loved 1960s films. And also, I think David may have mentioned this in his podcast with you, but It's very similar to a 1960s movie called The Party by Peter Sellers.
I'm very familiar with The Party. I love that movie. Again, white guy in a skin tone you wouldn't be able to get with today, but for its time. Like, I saw that for the first time when I probably would have been like 9 or 10 years old. My dad showed me a lot of old comedies, and he loved Peter Sellers and The Party. Like, the explosion that goes wrong at the start, Birdie Num Nums. Like, yeah.
That is such a brilliant film. So I've got that on DVDs. And also, a lot of these movies I think I've got on DVD actually that I picked out. Yeah, pretty much most of them. So that's one that I go back to watch. And I was watching, so I've got the best of SNL Mike Myers. So this is like the late 90s. Too. I was watching that and I'm like, it's funny. And I'm like, gee, man, a lot of this stuff you can't sort of say this kind of stuff, but it's still so funny to watch. Like, yeah. So, and I could see actually quite a few elements of Austin Powers in his character that he would do on SNL. So that was, obviously some inspiration there. But yeah. Austin Powers, that's my first one. Probably not necessarily my favorite, but it's definitely up there with the top. Yeah.
Nice one. What's next? What's next on your list?
So the other one is Love Actually is one that I watch. I used to watch like on repeat. I just love the whole idea of all these little romantic little stories all collected together. I mean, it's a pretty much, it's the Christmas movie everyone watches, apart from Home Alone. But yeah, no, I just love Actually. I love that one sort of, it does get me teary. So like the Alan Rickman and Emma Thompson situation, when she finds out he's having an affair, I just bawl. I'm just bawling my eyes out. Doesn't matter how many times I watch it, all the time. And my favourite relationship is probably the Colin Firth relationship with Aurelia.
Yeah.
It's so another one. So it's a tearjerker for me. But as I said before, like I want to watch movies that, just make me feel emotional and kind of happy at the same time, kind of a bit sad. I don't mind that. Yeah. So
I love Love Actually. I saw that. The first time I saw that, I was working in a video store, so it would have been like 2003, 2004.
Yeah.
And I brought it home like, this would be a good one for the family. Not knowing that there's a whole like storyline where it's basically a porn scene.
Yes, there is.
Not knowing like how much cursing is in it, and like the first time I saw it, it didn't really register. I thought I only heard like one or two, but it's a pretty filthy movie, like in terms of language. And my sister's 5 years younger than me, so she would have been maximum 10, but probably 8 or 9. But it's genius. Like that whole opening sequence of Bill Nye as the rock star trying to get through the light is so funny. Like my brother and I used to play that VHS, just that intro on repeat, just him like cursing as he like stuffs up the line again and again. I agree. I think the Colin Firth Aurelia storyline is great. Really, really beautiful. Again, there's some stuff in there you can't get away with now, like the sister being called Mrs. Dunkin' Donuts because she's heavy. But that I really do like that. There's a great line when he returns home for Christmas and the kids are like, I hate Uncle Jamie. That's great.
I hate Uncle Jamie.
I really like the Hugh Grant storyline. I think that's really, but it's interesting. I was saying to this to Tina last Christmas because we watch it every Christmas. And I said, these guys in Britain in 2003, they didn't see the future coming because that girl would not be considered fat, like by modern standard, like in the world of like, curvy women and big booties and stuff, like she would be considered malnourished. Like
she's looking perfect actually. She just looks, she's actually quite a gorgeous looking lady as it is anyway.
Even when I was like 15, I was like, gee, they're being a bit rough on this girl. Like,
it's like huge thighs and you're like, actually she's got a gorgeous behind. But anyway, okay. And then you've got Keira Knightley, who I love as an actress as well.
She's great.
She's always really, really good. And I really like that sort of complexity of, I actually like all the complexities of the different relationships and how those actors portrayed the people in it and the stories behind it. And I love, also the cinematography as well, like kind of like Austin Powers, where it's bright and fun and the sets are amazing. Here it's, Liam Neeson's character is, very,
what a great storyline.
Yeah, and it's like different love stories showing different ways of coping with love or dealing with love, and so Liam Neeson's character, obviously, with the grieving about his partner, and then he meets Claudia Schiffer at the end, so that all works out.
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah, I agree, and I agree with you on the Keira Knightley thing. Like recently, an article came out. I think it was last year. They're like, "Oh, Love Actually is a problematic movie because this guy's a stalker," and that sort of thing. And I didn't get that feeling. I think we've all had that moment, probably when we're teenagers. We've liked the girl or the guy that's with someone else. And all they did was put that on screen, and that as long as he doesn't go and then shoot up a building or something like these wackos, I think it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, I didn't get a creepy vibe. It's interesting how some people have what's the word? Have sort of looked at it and thought of it that way. I'd never actually thought of it. I just thought actually for me, it made me feel like my chest actually started feeling like crushed for him, because here he is, he's been in love with her, but yet she's marrying his best friend, and she had no idea, and he didn't want to tell her because he didn't want to come across as creepy. So, but I read somewhere that the plot, so how he's gone up to their flat at the end of the movie, and he's got these big white sheets of paper and he's written stuff on them.
Yeah.
And he's sort of, pressed the doorbell, and she comes down the stairs, and he's like, just put some carol music on.
Say it's carol. Yeah.
He actually wrote all of that stuff off the bat. Cool. Like she didn't actually know that he was Keira didn't actually know that. It was quite, it's really sweet. It's and I love how the kid, Sam, the kid, so that's Liam Neeson's stepson, how he was in love with the singer, the girl singer. Yeah. So I love how that all sort of sorted out. And I actually really liked how, Alan Rickman and Emma Thompson's characters, they didn't necessarily get back together. They were sort of,
it's very ambiguous, their relationship.
Yes, yeah. And I kind of like that because it shows that it's real. It tries to portray that it's real. Not everyone's going to be 100% on board with somebody cheating on them in their marriage,
Fair enough, I think.
So, I really, so that's a movie I tend to watch, same here, Christmas time. Along with the kids want to watch Home Alone,
so good.
My son Will, I'll just say my son Will because you know who Will is.
Yeah.
But he loves Home Alone. He used to have that on repeat all the time. He just loved the Macaulay Culkin, and so that's usually between a battle of those two will come on at Christmas time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my second choice there with Love Actually.
Nice one. I think we'd be remiss not to mention the very brief but wonderful cameo from Rowan Atkinson, where he plays the jewelry store clerk.
Yes. Oh, isn't he just a brilliant, brilliant actor? And so clever. And I just love how he sort of also helps connect the dots and stuff as well. How he stops the security guards at the airport so that the little boy Sam can chase up after his girlfriend, and he's just brilliant. And how he tries to, I love the whole when he's got the plastic bag and he's putting potpourri in with the jewelry thing and
prontissimo.
Yeah.
And he played it's the perfect casting, casting him opposite Alan Rickman, who has no time for nonsense.
Yes, yeah.
No, I love Actually. That's a great choice.
Yeah.
So what's next on your list?
So going on with who we were talking about, Keira Knightley. This is one that I hadn't actually mentioned to you, but Pride and Prejudice is the one that I actually quite like. So the one with Keira Knightley and Matthew Macfadyen. So that's the most recent one. I think that was 2003. So there've been a couple of Pride and Prejudice movies.
Yeah.
So again, not in any particular order, but I've actually never read the book, so it's based on the Jane Austen book, Pride and Prejudice. I've never watched the book. I never read the book. Sorry, but what I really liked about this adaptation was it's Kira. I mean, the acting is just brilliant. The setting of this movie is just gorgeous. It's very English cottage and amazing mansions, and so all of that sort of really. I don't know what it is. It's kind of that romantic drama. It's that sort of two people in a relationship who hate each other, who end up falling in love with each other, and Keira Knightley being stubborn as anything, doesn't want a bar of Mr. What's his name?
Mr. Darcy.
Mr. Darcy, that's it. So yeah, I really enjoyed watching that movie, and I think Keira just does such an amazing job with her acting in that film. So that was my Pride and Prejudice there. I just really enjoyed I don't know why. I've been watching that on repeat. It's quite a long movie as well. It's like almost 3 hours. But yeah, I just loved how they also, all the different, because she's got sisters, and how they've all got different personalities, and you do get a good sense of what their different personalities are in this film. Whereas I've sort of watched parts of the older films in the past, and I just don't think that they really focus too much on the other characters, whereas I think in this film they did, and it gave it a bit more life, and it gave it a little bit more something interesting to watch. So that's my Pride and Prejudice movie choice there. I don't know why sometimes I watch it, but yeah.
I think it's the only one on your list I haven't seen. But I didn't know you're such a Keira Knightley fan. It's just popped up on a couple, and you've mentioned her a few times now. So
I think I've also watched her in Pirates of the Caribbean, and there's that Netflix series that I want to see her in, but I just think she has she's got this real regal sense about her. Yeah. And she's really, really good actress. And so the Pride and Prejudice is a good movie to watch. I just love that sort of they're fighting, the two of them are fighting together for their love, but then he loves her, but then she realizes she needs to sort of step down a little bit and not be so argumentative and so forthright and all of that. So I'm noticing the choices of the movies that I've got are all about love, actually. That's the common thread, I think. So that's the Pride and Prejudice. Really good movie. It is quite a long one. I haven't read the book yet. I'm not really a massive book reader, and sometimes I get worried with books. You go, then you read the book, and then you have the adaptation of the movie, and it's not good. It's pretty common. I don't think that's the case with this movie. Yeah. But there was another movie that I love the book. It's called Eat, Pray, Love.
Yep.
And you watch the movie, and it's got Julia.
Julia Roberts. She's in it.
Julia Roberts is in it.
Yeah.
But that movie, man, I can't watch it. It's just so all over the place. And I'm like, oh, my God. It's just like they've tried to cram all of this stuff from this book into this movie, and it just hasn't flowed very well. So that's a real shame, because that book is really good to read.
As a fan of both Stephen King and Harry Potter, I feel your pain. Like the books are nearly always better than movies.
I have yet to read Stephen King. I need to read Stephen King. David reckons I should read that, actually.
Oh, it's great.
So,
there's some great stuff in there.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about another movie?
Yeah, we can. I was just thinking, it's funny, like you mentioned Pride and Prejudice. I wonder if it's like a Harris Needles thing, because Tina's obsessed with period dramas. Like, she loves period dramas. Like, she's big on Pride and Prejudice. She's big on, like, right now, she's admittedly said it's trash. I don't know. I haven't seen too much of it. She's big on Bridgerton. Downton Abbey, she loves. She loves all those kind of, like, old, kind of Victorian period English dramas.
Yes.
So maybe it's just like it's just in your blood. Maybe it's just like a
maybe it is. Maybe it is. Like Mum, I'm just thinking if Mum and Dad, no, Mum probably would watch it. I'm into. I've watched the first season of Bridgerton. I haven't watched the second one because obviously with kids around,
Apparently, the second
Raunchy?
season was very boring. In that aspect.
Okay. I suspected that it might be because I reckon they've tried to put a big hype onto the first season.
Let's sell
It
you
usually
with
goes like
the
that.
raunchiness of season 1 and then tame it down. Because I remember I was coming back from the gym in the evenings last week and she was watching through it, and I was like, do you mind if I just eat in bed before I have my shower or whatever while you watch Bridget? And she's like, yeah. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, isn't this meant to be like the raunchiest show on TV? I'm like, this is like really boring. Like, not boring as in terms of the story. Like, the story was interesting enough. But this is very, very tame. Like, they're barely making eyes at one another. Like, are you sure this is the same show? So apparently season 2 was a big disappointment for fans on the raunchiness factor.
Yeah, all right. Well, I will look into that and see. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I think you're right. I'm not into Downton Abbey. I'm not into that one. But yeah, I think you're right. I think we do like a bit of period movies. I've watched Emma is another one that I like to watch as well. It's quite it's sort of a clever. I think that's another. Is that another Jane Austen?
I think so. Are you talking about the one with Gwyneth? Is it Gwyneth Paltrow who's in Emma?
There is a Gwyneth Paltrow, and then there's the other one
with Anya Taylor-Joy, the new one.
Yes, yeah. That's really actually that's probably a little bit better, I think.
She's a fantastic actress. She sprung up out of nowhere. I hadn't heard of her until a couple of years ago when she was in Split, and now she's maybe the most popular actress in Hollywood. Like, she's in everything.
And she's also a really brilliant actor. What was the there was another really big, either it's a movie or a series. I think it's a series with the chess. And she was in it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I'm trying to think what it is. Queen's Gambit?
Queen's Gambit. Yeah, that's when I didn't realise she was the same actress. I know it sounds really, really silly.
No, not at all.
Because she has quite a distinct look, but I was like, oh, she's Emma. Oh, okay, yeah. But she's brilliant. Yeah, so good. And
She really is, yeah. She's in Last Night in Soho, which was came out last year, which is brilliant. She's fantastic in that. I could watch her in anything. I think she's a very, very good young actress. So.
Yeah, she's brilliant. She's so brilliant. So that's my Pride and Prejudice.
Nice one. What's next on your list? Is it another Keira Knightley film?
No. This one is quite left of centre, but I really, really, really love this movie. I've used to watch it almost religiously every day. And that is Amelie, however you want to pronounce it.
Beautiful movie.
Which is a absolutely stunning film, just gorgeous. And I used to, this came out, would have been early 2000s, and I just used to watch it because I felt like after I watched it, I felt like it put everything in perspective. I loved that the characters, I can't even describe it. I don't know how to describe it. It's just, it's eccentric, it's beautifully written, it's beautiful cinematography. I love all the little bits that they pay attention to. One of my favourite parts in this movie is when they introduce a character and they say, so-and-so likes da-da-da-da-da-da and dislikes this. So they would actually put like 3 things that character liked and 3 things that character disliked, and I just thought that was really clever and unique, and I just loved how her character was somebody who just wants to do the best for the people around her and bring out the best. Yeah. And I found that like strangely very inspirational. So that's why I found myself watching it like almost religiously every day, just to sort of put my mind in perspective and go, you can do great things for other people. And even though this is in, a sort of a daydreaming kind of way, but so I just really loved the film, and won the best film at the European Film Awards, and it's just a very, very unique film. I kind of like those kinds of films, the ones where you makes you think about stuff, or just sort of focuses on like those small little things. Yeah, so.
Tina introduced me to Amelie because it's one of her favourite films as well. I think the last time we did a list, which was on a previous podcast, I think it was in her top 5. I don't know if that's changed. I know she hasn't watched in a couple of years because I also haven't watched in a couple of years. But gorgeous film. I always think, if you talk about the likes and dislikes, I always think she likes the first crack of the spoon on the creme brulee. That's what I always think of. And I may be misremembering, but isn't it also a bit of a mystery? Like, isn't she kind of on a bit of an adventure trying to solve like a mystery? But I love that. I love that element of it. It's a wonderful little love story as well. And it really, kind of brought French cinema back. And not that it ever went away, but I think, we kind of go through these peaks and troughs of what's popular at the moment. Like, so right now, Korean cinema is popular because of Parasite and Squid Game and things like that. But it's never been away. Like, Korean cinema has been amazing for the last 20 years. Just no one was really kind of paying attention. And I think that Amelie did the same thing for French cinema. It kind of, because it was also at the 2001 Academy Awards. Like, and I think did quite well there as well. It's one of those. So it's one of those films that kind of was like, oh yeah, that's right. Like, other people make movies aside from people who speak English. We should check this out, and we should, and then Audrey Tautou became almost a household name, where like she was in the Coco Chanel film, and she did a couple other things as well. But I love Amelie. I think it's one of those films. It's one of those I love, but I haven't watched enough. Like, it should be one that I watch more regularly. And one thing I've noticed since starting this podcast is people bring up movies that either I haven't seen in a long time or haven't seen at all. I'm like, right, got to pick that one up so I can get back on that. Like, David had a couple. I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't seen The Sting. I've got to watch that one.
And that happened to me the other day too. Like, I was like, oh, I better just watch that again just to remind myself, because it'd been like a few years since I watched it. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. That's what happens in that film. And because you're right, there is a bit of a mystery. And then she does so much for other people, and then she realizes that she might be lonely and isolated, and what she really wants is a relationship and a friendship and with someone. And so she finally gets that, but only with the help of her other friends who've gone, you've done so much for everyone else, you've got to, we're going to do something for you, so we'll make that happen, we'll set that up for you. It's a brilliant film, and I even just love the colours in that film. That sounds really weird, but
yes, absolutely.
There's something about it. It takes me back to when we went as a family to Paris, and Tina would have been a bit too young to remember, but I was 10 when we went to Paris, and just that sort of, when you go into a gorgeous shop or a gorgeous little cafe, and you can just smell like all the smells and all the red. There's a lot of reds and velvets and it just has that kind of feel about it. So it felt really homely. It felt really comforting. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous little film. And I probably actually told Tina about that one, so she probably passed that on to you as well, because I'm thinking there was a couple of other ones. That was Love Actually. She probably would have watched that because I watched that as well. So that, definitely Amelie. And Audrey Tautou is just a beautiful actress.
Absolutely.
Quietly spoken, elegant. She did such a great job, portrayed that character so well. Just love that film, just gorgeous. And I agree with you. I think sometimes, we are so accustomed to watching English films that we don't realise there's actually probably some really good international films out there too. Maybe you might not quite understand it, but you just put subtitles on and you watch it and you're like, oh, actually that was a really good film. From time to time I'll watch a Bollywood film as well. They go on forever though. But they go on forever.
There's no short Bollywood films. Like, you can't get 90 minutes out of Bollywood film. They tend to get 3 or 4 hours.
And it's a whole different level. But they are really amazing. But they go for a really long time. So occasionally I'll put it on to like ABC, not ABC, SBS Viceland, and usually they'll put like some really good movies on. Actually, David often will go on there and go, oh, you got to watch this film, Elizabeth, you got to watch this film. So he's had a lot of influence on these other films. So these films are ones that I've sort of picked out for myself, but a lot of the other films that I watch, he will watch them first and he'll go, you'll really like that, Elizabeth, or you won't really like that. So maybe, he sort of he's my filter.
I do the same thing for Tina, like particularly with horror, as we mentioned before, but with other films as well. I think it's just, the thing about foreign cinema or world cinema is it's just a different perspective. You know, they just look at life through a different lens, which is always it tells a more complete picture. You know, the more perspective you can see, like the more you can kind of appreciate it. Like, French cinema is very beautiful, but also, you know, a lot of European cinema in general is quite dark. You know, they have a very different kind of viewpoint on life and death and things like that. So, you know, you can get the chills from some of those films as well because, you know, they're a little bit more open about it than we are. You know, we kind of, in our English-spoken, you know, shameful society, we don't really talk about death too much. Whereas you watch, you know, a Spanish film or a film from Mexico or anything kind of from a Latin background, part of everyday life for them. You know, they talk about it, you know, they celebrate it, you know, so very interesting. But no, I love Amelie and glad to see that on the list. Fantastic. Which brings us down to the last one.
Last one, yes. I just wanted to also make an honourable mention. I don't know if you might know this movie, but you might want to check it out because we're just going on to what you literally just said. This movie, I'll just make an honourable mention because it was going to be one in my list, but another one trumped out. But have you heard of Blood Brother?
I don't know if I have.
So it's a documentary film.
Yeah.
It's true. It's a true story, obviously. And it's a continuing story, actually. And it's about a young American, or he'd probably be around our age now. And his name's Rocky Bratt. And he travels to India and visits kids who have got like HIV in an orphanage. Okay. And so he visited there. He went to India just to see, you know, just to experience India. And then he befriended some people some kids at an orphanage. And then he was so taken back with the way that they were looked after and, lack of looking after, really, that he actually decided he would stay. So he ended up staying and helping the kids. And so, like, the film is about his travels around India and at this specific orphanage that he's stayed at and the relationships he's made with the kids there. And it's quite confronting but also heartwarming. I bawled my eyes out. He befriends this one particular kid called Surya, who is an 8-year-old boy who has HIV and gets quite sick because obviously, you know, from time to time they get like bad diseases and stuff. So he ends up taking him to hospital. Some kids don't even make it to hospital, like they die before they get to hospital, but he takes him to hospital. He stays with him for like a month at the hospital, and he said like there were like 9 kids in the same ward. 8 of them died, whereas this Surya, because he was there with him 24/7, he survived, but most of the kids wouldn't survive. And it's very confronting, but so I would highly recommend if you are up for an emotional afternoon or evening, it is not just about the sad parts. It's about the fact that he's just so inspirational. He currently has a foundation made up called Light, Light, and basically his organisation houses these kids who would otherwise be abandoned on the streets or in orphanages all over India. And so he just helps them, teach them how to, you know, do things in the community, because often the time is what happens is once they leave the orphanage, they can't sort of integrate into Indian society as well. So he sort of teaches them things. He gets them going to school and completing their studies so that they can do a better life. So, yeah, Blood Brother is the one. It's a 2013 film. Yeah, if you are up for an emotional film, it's really, really eye-opening. So that's why I thought I'll mention that one, because we did talk about like films that are international in a way. And it's just brilliant. That's a really good film. So onto our last one. Sorry,
go
Inside
for it.
Out.
Inside Out. Oh, talk about a tearjerker.
Yes, this one, when I watched it in the movies with the kids, the movie finished, I was bawling, and I said I can't leave the theatre just yet. I'm still crying.
Yeah.
But the kids and Isabella and was Will around then? I don't remember. I know
2014,
Isabella.
I want to say.
Oh, yes. Maybe that was one of the first movies you either seen or someone was looking after him. I don't know. But I know Isabella was there and she goes, Mummy, are you crying? I'm like, yes, I am crying. I'm like, oh. So, yes. What I love about this film is
I just have to apologize. I don't know if you can hear, but it sounds like someone's building an ark outside my office right now. There's timber.
Oh, really?
There's hammers.
I can't hear anything.
Oh, okay, good. Like, so if anyone's like, what's that noise? Because normally I record at night, there's no sound. But it sounds like, Noah's got everyone out there building the ark. And so if anyone's wondering what's going on, it's crazy neighbours.
It's the apocalypse, James. It's the apocalypse.
You've cried so much that the flood is coming and now we've got to get taken away.
Oh, my God. Perfect. Yeah, so it's such a great film. I mean, the Pixar Disney films, they make me cry. In fact, my kids love to say to me, Mum, are you crying yet? Or they look at me. Will in particular look at me. He's just checking me out. He's like, are you crying? I'm like, sometimes I can't even say yes or no because I'm like, if I say something, I'm just going to like, my voice will break and everything. Yes, absolutely love this film. It's just gorgeous. And it's just a great way for kids to see how important it is to show your emotions and that, like, it's okay for kids to feel sad sometimes and not know why they're feeling sad.
Absolutely.
I think the saddest part for me in that movie is the moment when, like, Riley reunites with her mum and dad after she realises she's making a big mistake by running away from home and then realises that, all the worlds are collapsing and they're trying to – and, the characters' joy and anger and sadness are trying to connect it all together again. And it's a really smart – like, Pixar and Disney have just done such a great job in – how they wrote that film and talked about joy and anger and sadness and disgust and fear and how that all interrelates, and it makes you almost believe that you do have a panel in your head with the characters, like, and they're all sort of, like pressing the buttons and steering the wheel, and it's so beautifully written, and it's one that I will go back to occasionally with the kids. And it gets me every time. Like, Disney Pixar films just get me every time. And and another honourable mention of that is Coco. Coco is also really gorgeous.
Still haven't seen Coco. I've heard it's I've heard, look, if you're not cool with death, you'll probably cry a lot.
It's brilliant. So when you get a chance, like, when Zoe, you might want to watch it now or when Zoe's a bit older. Coco's a beautiful movie that talks about, like, death, but in a really, really good way. Kind of like Soul is another one as well, which is one of the recent ones.
Yeah, I'm behind on my Pixars. I think the last Pixar film I saw, I saw Moana in theaters, which I loved. And I'm trying to think. I haven't seen Raya and the Last Dragon. I haven't seen Luca. I haven't seen Turning Red. These are all on my list of things to watch.
Turning Red's great. Yeah.
I haven't seen Coco.
Yeah.
Trying to think. Moana might have been the last one.
Yeah.
Which I saw in theaters with Tina and my dad on New Year's Eve. And I remember, I think I spoke about this in the last episode. We just did an episode all about animated movies last week.
Yeah.
So I told the story. I said, I said to my dad, hey, I got no plans for New Year's Eve. Tina and I go to the movies every year for New Year's Eve, which is true up until COVID hit, and then obviously having a child, but we still watch a movie every New Year's Eve. But I said to him, hey, we're going to see a movie. Do you want to come along? He's like, sure thing, no worries. He gets to our house. This is back when we were living in Lilydale. He goes, what are we seeing? And I go, we're seeing Moana, the new Disney film. And the look of disappointment on my dad's face cannot be described. Because he just wasn't expecting it, and then because I think the year before we saw Star Wars, and following years we saw Jumanji and stuff like that. But that year, that was the big one out, Moana. He goes, okay. I'm like, we'll go have some dinner, and then I said, we'll treat you. Don't worry, you're not paying anything. I've bought the tickets already. We'll go out for dinner. We'll go see Moana, and then we'll hang out afterwards. And the credits roll on that one. He said to me, like, the look on his face, he's like, I can't believe what that movie was. He's like, I was expecting it to be just a Disney cartoon, but he goes, it was so amazing. I'm like, that's the power of Pixar these days. Like, I know it's very popular to make fun of Disney and have a go at Disney for all sorts of other things, but I don't know, man. Their movies are great. Like, even their
They
bad
are.
ones, even their bad ones are pretty good. Like,
Yeah,
Toy Story
exactly.
4 is not a great movie by Pixar standards, but I was still crying by the end of it. Like,
Yeah, yeah. And I think like, and you'll find this too as Zoe, when you take Zoe for a first movie as well in a few years' time. And, I think they've got the formula right. Pixar have got the formula right. They also know that these movies, like, so you compare like Inside Out to the first kid movie I saw, which was Little Mermaid, which was quite revolutionary for that time as well.
golden age of Disney.
Um,
That was part of that. It was um, I lost my train of thought. Little Mermaid. Then you go Beauty and the Beast. Then you go Aladdin. Then you go Lion King. Those are your four
yes.
back to back, like absolute knocking them out of the park every single time. Now, granted, Little Mermaid by modern standards can be a little bit problematic.
Yes,
You give away your voice for a man. Like that's kind of what you're doing.
Yes. Yes. And how much that dialogue has changed over the years, But so they've really, really redefined what a kid's movie is about. And because parents are going there as well. They're spending the money. They've actually got the right formula. Because when you think about it, if the parents are going to like the movie, then they will want to purchase the merchandise for their kids. They will want to, so they've got to make sure. I know it's a whole business thing as well, but the business model is working for them. Like,
but you can be a business and tell great stories. Like it doesn't have to be one or the other.
That's right. And like, we just recently saw Red. What was it? Turning Reds. Yeah, that's really funny, by the way. But so as you find, like, as Zoe gets older and you start taking her to the movies and you're watching the kiddie movies, and I have a feeling she's going to be very, very well recited with all of the movies. By the way,
oh, I can't
thanks
wait.
to you and Tina.
Like, once she's old enough, like this whole going to the movies 3 or 4 times a year thing will be in the past. I'll be like, all right, kiddo.
Oh yes.
What are we seeing this weekend?
Yes.
I was wrong, by the way. It wasn't Moana, the last thing I saw. The last Pixar film I saw, I'm pretty sure, was Incredibles 2.
And that was great.
Which I love.
I love that movie. Yeah. Oh, fabulous. Actually, we've got them both on DVD.
That first Incredibles is my favorite, maybe my favorite Pixar film of all time. Just perfect.
Yeah. Yes, it is. That's brilliant. Yeah. So, anything Pixar really is good, but Inside Out's probably my favorite one to date. Like, there are some really good close ones. Coco being one of them, as I said before. Moana's amazing. Mm-hmm. I didn't think I'd actually like that, but that is actually a really good film. And Incredibles is great. And Ralph Wrecks the Internet. I love that one too.
Mm-hmm. I really like the first Wreck-It Ralph. Yes. Monsters Inc.
Monsters Inc. Yep.
Like Pixar haven't really done a bad film. Like, okay, I didn't really like Finding Dory. Finding Dory was a bit boring for me, but but I'm sure people loved it. That no one goes out of the way to make a bad film. I don't think it's a bad movie. Just to me, I was like, oh, we kind of told the same story again, just with a different person, with different fish. Monsters University, I think, is highly underrated. I think Monsters University is a wonderful movie.
Yes.
And then all the Toy Story films, all of them. So.
Which is really kind of where it started from. Yeah, a little bit, didn't it? The whole Toy Story. I never watched that when it came out. It wasn't until I had the kids that I watched it. And I was like, oh, why did I wait so long to watch that? It was actually quite a good film.
I saw the first two in cinema. I was young enough. I saw the first one when it came out, and the second one, they were only a couple of years apart. And then the third one came out in 2007, I want to say. So I was an adult by that point. And I had a similar experience to you. And that film, by the way, you start crying opening credits. Like if you're familiar with that, if you're familiar with those movies, if you've grown up with those movies, you start crying straight away because it's like the kid's old and Andy's older now and he's no longer playing with his toys. Yeah. And you're like, oh my God, I remember when I grew up and stopped playing with toys. Yeah. And then there are a couple of moments throughout that film. There's the furnace scene, which is Schindler's List for toys. It's horrible. I'm not the first person to make that comparison, so I'm not saying that's my joke, but like a lot of people. Yeah, and then the end when he hands them away, he's like, all right, like, and now you go to someone else. Like, I was bawling my eyes out toward the end, and there's a little boy next to me. Tina's on one side, little boy next to me. Little boy looks at me, looks to his mum, and goes, "Mum, is that man crying? Why is he crying?" Like, and I was like, "Kid, you don't get it. I've been riding with these toys since '94. Like it's been a 13-year journey for me.
No, there is no shame here. This is a safe place. We can talk about crying and emotions. Okay.
I love a cinema cry. I won't cry in real life. Can't do it. But in the movies,
yeah. It feels like movies or watching stuff on TV. I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's so visual and stuff. I'm not a one person when I read. I'm not a person when if I read something I wouldn't cry, but if I see something, yeah, I reckon I would.
I've cried reading, not very often. It's a lot harder, I think, because I think cinema is such a visual medium, obviously. And you have the benefits of score and and writing, so they can really Pixar. Like I heard something recently where someone was like, apparently Pixar, they're like, don't write the movie trying to make people cry. We have the formula for that. Write the story you want to tell, and then we'll look at it and we'll be able to find out where your cry points are. And that's what I heard. I don't know if it's true.
Wow.
They have a formula.
I wonder if they employ an actual person to do that. Like, you never know. But wow, okay, yeah.
I think the only one I didn't really cry at was Cars. Like Cars is,
Actually, Will loves Cars,
He loves Cars, yeah.
Loves Cars. And then the third movie came out, and when Lightning McQueen had that big accident, he was just like stone-faced.
Wow.
I'm like, are you okay? And he's like, I'm like, are you sure you're okay? And I think it really like hit him like a ton of bricks, actually. Like sorry about the pun, but like he was just like, I don't know, I think something shifted there and he changed. I think he just got a little bit scared. It was a bit scary for him because he was, I would have been in prep also when that came out, and it just was maybe a bit too intense for Will. But no, he does love Cars though.
I've only seen the first one, and I only watched the first one because I was like, Michael Caine is a spy car in the second film. I need to see 1 to 2. I still haven't gone back and seen 2. But I will get it. But I also understand those were like, these are boy movies. I'm sure there are girls who are like, Cars. Like, this is a boy movie. It doesn't need to hit the same kind of emotional beats that most of our movies do. This is a toy movie. We're going to sell a bunch of toy cars off this,
That's right, business model.
Which is fine. Nice one. That's a pretty good list.
Thank you.
I like all those. The only one I haven't seen is Pride and Prejudice, but I'll whack it on my list now because I'm keeping note of everything people mention that I haven't seen. So I'm like, oh, I've got to watch it. And Amelie, I've got to give a spin again. I've got Amelie sitting up on top of my shelf just over here. So awesome. I've got the big old wall of movies right next to me. So
amazing. Your whole setup is amazing.
It's still not full. I bought this. I put this online the other day, and it holds about 650 Blu-rays or something. Still not full, which is good, but I will need a new one soon.
Awesome.
Excellent. So that brings you've made it. You survived. That's
I did.
Podcast. The last part of the show is the rapid fire questions. So don't worry, you don't need to rush through these, but no one does. But I don't give them out in advance, so you can't prepare for them. Although I do know you listened to David's episode, so you could have. Liz, what was the last thing you watched?
Oh, well, yes, Eternals, which was yesterday.
Nice one.
Yep. Is that the last movie I recently? Yep, that would be it. And I absolutely loved it, as I said. Second time watching it, I feel like I got so much more out of that, and I really appreciated how Chloe Zhao actually produced that film in such an amazing way. And I'm annoyed that I judged it too quickly the first time I watched it, but second time, definitely love it. And I'm really looking forward to seeing where they go with it in the next couple of, there'll be like ongoing movies, I would say, wouldn't you say? Yeah.
Yeah, apparently there's rumours that a couple of them are meant to show up in the new Thor movie.
Yes.
So, which we still haven't had a trailer for. That movie comes out in about 3 months. We still haven't had a trailer for Thor. So rumours are we might see that trailer when Doctor Strange comes out. But I liked Eternals. I didn't love it, but I did like it. But I will watch it again. I think it's I've done the same thing. Like Batman vs Superman. The first time I watched it, I was like, I hate this. Like how could you massacre my boy? Like that's how I felt. And every time I watch it, especially that extended cut, the more I watch, I'm like, oh, I was an idiot. Like I just didn't get it. Like it took, you don't have to get every film the first time. Some films, ask a little bit more of their audience. Like Quentin Tarantino, watch one of his films, you'll have a good time. Watch the same film 10 times, it's something different every single time. Like,
exactly. You get something else out of it, don't you, when you watch it a couple more times? Yeah.
And something like Eternals with so many characters, I think you're spending, most of the time just trying to figure out what's going on. Not that it's poorly told. You're like, okay, I've got 10 new characters. They've all got different power sets. They've all got different backgrounds. I'm just processing it. Okay, now we're in ancient Egypt, and now we're in ancient Mexico, and now we're in space, with Arashem. Like, so it's just same with the Batman. I've listened to the Batman once, and I loved it. It's my favorite Batman movie of all time, which I talked about in a couple of weeks ago on an episode. But I want to watch it. I would want to watch it 10 more times because I know there's so much more to that film. The first time I was sitting, I'm like, I don't know whether I'm halfway through the film or whether it's just started because it's so relentless. I need time to pick up those beats and see how it works so I can enjoy it even more. So, I think a lot of people felt that way about Eternals, but I think, it's one of those films that it's just asking a little bit more of its audience,
Yes, yeah.
It's not just, not just Tony Stark in a suit for an hour and a half, shooting that back, which is fine. Love it. Love every Iron Man film, even, even the ones people don't like. But this is just a more mature take on a superhero film, I think.
Yeah. I 100% agree with you, by the way. Like, I felt the same thing. Like, what you just said before just absolutely just now hits it on the head. Like, I just came out of that movie going, I don't know what I just watched. Like, it just was so incredible, but also, like, just as you said, because there's, like, 10 characters and they've all got different powers and then I keep it on top of everyone, and it's just, it was just a bit much. So I think I'm glad I watched it again to be able to sort of clarify that and understand the storyline a bit better. And now I'm actually excited about seeing where they will go with it. Yeah. But I'm hanging out for Thor and hanging out for Doctor Strange, so that'll be really good, exciting to watch too.
And I think we get Black Panther this year as well. I think it's going to come out at the end of the year. So we got Doctor Strange in May, and I think Thor is July. And I think November or December is the new Black Panther movie, which will be really interesting to see what they do there. Plus, we've got half a dozen TV shows coming out as well.
I know. I'm just excited. I'm so excited. Perfect.
Excellent. So Eternals was the last thing you watched. What's that one film that's been sitting on your watch list forever? We've all got it. It's on your Netflix queue. It's in your DVD pile. I bought it. I haven't watched it yet, but I keep meaning to, but I keep putting it off.
I don't know, actually. I don't think I have one at the moment, or I'm just thinking even just like a series or something, not so much I'd have to probably get back to you on that one. I'm not really 100% sure.
That's okay. It's all good. You don't have to have an answer for everything. It's all good.
Yeah, I was sort of thinking, I'm trying to sort of have a think. Yeah, I'm not sure at this point. I'll have to get back to you and let you know. But I think there's lots of things I see on like Netflix that I'm like, oh, I need to watch that. But probably actually I'm thinking of Bridgerton, like, because I'm like, I'll have to watch that next series.
Yeah.
So off the top of my head, probably I would say Bridgerton. But movie-wise, not sure yet, but I'll get back to you with that one. Yeah.
I've got the opposite problem. I've got like 20 things I keep doing. I'm like, I will get to it.
What is yours? Who's off the top?
Well, I mean, off the top of my head, Citizen Kane. Like, it's one of those films I keep meaning to watch.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Like, I've just never
that's
watched.
A really good film. Yeah.
But so many, the last Terminator film. Like, I keep meaning to watch that. But I'm like, yeah, I'll get to it. Like, it's one of those. It's more often than not. It's like that film's always going to be there. Like, I'm in no rush to get to it. But I also have, like, I don't know if you can see, but like the way my cabinet is listed, some of the movies are poking out, and those are the ones where I'm like, I haven't watched that yet, so I'll keep it poking out so I don't forget. So I've got about 60 movies sitting there to go watch.
Yeah. And are these movies you've already seen?
No, there's 60
You haven't seen them? Yep.
So like, I've got a Hitchcock box set, but I'd seen a couple of Hitchcock movies. I'm like, I'll buy the box set. There's 20 movies in there. I've got a Dirty Harry collection. I've seen one of them. I'll watch the other 4 at some point. Like, mainly,
okay.
Yeah.
No, I thought about it. I know which movie. Titanic. I haven't seen Titanic. Titanic is the one.
Nice.
Yeah, everyone keeps telling me about it. You would think, period movie, romantic, Leonardo DiCaprio. I've never seen Titanic.
Yeah.
And apparently it's amazing. I remember when it came out in the movies, but I never saw it. Titanic is one. David's like, how is it that you've not seen Titanic? I'm like, David, I don't know. So sorry.
Like, David, Star Wars, remember? Like
Star Wars, yeah, exactly. Star Wars, hello, like very limited. Anyway, yes, Titanic would be the one. Sorry about that. Yeah, I just had a bit of a brain.
Star Wars is 20 years before Titanic. So whenever you first watch Star Wars, you're probably coming up to about 20 years since you first watched Star Wars. That's the time to watch Titanic 20 years later.
So basically, I've got to give myself a 20-year gap.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. No, I love it. Yeah, so Titanic's on my list of movies to watch. Yeah, definitely.
Nice one. This next question, I don't think we even need to ask. I think we've talked about it a lot. But we'll confirm. Are you a movie crier?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Say it with me. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, definitely. Yeah.
We actually didn't talk about crying in movies much on the show, like much to my disappointment. I love crying movies, but most people don't talk about it until this part. But here I was like, I don't need to ask. I know the answer. All we've done is cry about movies all afternoon.
Yes.
Actually, I think I know the answer to this question as well, because you've gone into so much detail. Is there one actor or actress that you'll follow anywhere? Doesn't matter what movie is, you see him, I'm going.
Yeah. So Keira Knightley, obviously.
Yeah.
We knew that. Renee Zellweger also, I really like.
Wow.
I like her movies. Ewan McGregor.
Mm-hmm.
Love a lot of his. Yeah. I think that would be probably about it. And I really actually quite like Ryan Gosling as well. I think he's really good.
He's great.
Yeah. So, and I also really like Adam Driver. He's really quite interesting. Yeah, he's
I haven't seen House of Gucci yet, but I want to. I like Adam Driver quite a bit. So
yeah, I haven't seen that either. Yeah, so that's probably on my list next to Titanic because that looks really interesting. But yeah, that I would say that there's quite a few, but yeah, probably those would be the ones that I would be out for.
Nice one. Cool. Now, we don't like to be negative, and as we know, there are no bad movies, but what is the worst movie you've ever seen?
Well, this is in my opinion, Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah.
Jeepers Creepers.
Okay, I'm with you there. Yeah.
The look on your face, if you could see us on this podcast, is like, yeah.
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 It's there's a much more we won't go into details on the show, but there's a much more sinister reason as to why I don't like that movie.
Okay.
Yeah, there's the director's not a nice person at all. But they keep paying him to make movies for some reason.
Right.
But I hear you. Justin Long.
No,
I like Justin Long.
You know what? I didn't like it because I was in the movies with my boyfriend at the time, and we went with friends and stuff, and we were watching Jeepers Creepers, and I was like, "What's this all about?" And they're like, "Oh, it's a horror." Or, it's that kind of genre. And I was like, oh, my God, really? So, like, I just sat there with my eyes closed the whole time just going, this is horrible. Like, I just hated it. It was like whatever it is, an hour and a half to 2 hours of just crap. It was crap. So, I didn't enjoy that. So
I did that to Tina once. I took Tina to a couple of horror films in cinemas. Nothing too scary, although one was very violent, and that was Saw 6, which turned out to be the most violent of the Saw films. I didn't know at the time, but I was saying to her, I was like, man, I haven't seen a Saw film in cinemas ages, and no one's going to go with me. And she's like, I'll go. I'm like, you don't like horror? And she was like, yeah, but like it's just people cutting people up. I can deal with that. Like it's not scary. And in the first 5 minutes, she had her eyes covered, and she didn't see most of the movie. And I felt terrible. I did feel terrible because she said she'd come along. I didn't expect it to be as violent as it was. It's very, very violent. Like it's one of the more violent ones out there. But so I've definitely also taken a Harrison's girl to a movie which they covered their eyes the entire time.
I should have brought an eye mask. Anyway.
I wonder, do you do Tina does this thing where she gets impatient with movies if she doesn't like it. And I can tell if she's not enjoying a movie because I hear
really? Does she do that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't been told by David. I'm going to ask him when later on and just see. But no, I think if I don't like something, I'll probably just cover my eyes and just go, I'm not really enjoying this. But Generally, David will filter out because he's like such a movie buff like yourself, and he'll sort of really try and work out what the plot of the story is, and then he'll go. He's got a pretty good. As I said, he's my sort of my filter. So if I'm not sure about a movie, or he's like, I don't think you're going to really like this movie. Like he absolutely loved Batman, and I know you spoke about the new Batman movie. And he said to me afterwards, he goes, I think you'd actually really like Elizabeth. And so I'm actually keen to probably give that a watch too. But, yeah, I usually filter it through David. I'm like, David, can you tell me if it will suit what I like? And so generally he's pretty good. Like he'll filter it out for me. But I can just imagine Tina like just going, just not enjoying.
And I can tell, like, at the end of the movie where I'll approach the question, like, so I'm like, oh, did you like it? Or, like, if I've heard a couple of times, I'm like, you didn't really like it, did you? Like, I can kind of tell.
Yeah. But, I mean, I know, look, I judge a film with how good it is if I cry at the end.
Yeah.
Oh, dear, James. Oh, dear. But there we go. Yes. So
nice one. Last question of the rapid fire. What's the one movie they should never, ever remake?
I think like the one that should never remake. I'm finding that really hard to decide. I'm really, really struggling here. Like I'm thinking, let's remake. Look, I find that really hard to work out which one. Because the ones I've written down are all the ones that I really like to watch, and I watch them on repeat. And it makes it hard to sort of go, what would be one that they shouldn't remake? They probably shouldn't remake another Austin Powers, like realistically, as much as it was fun, but it would sort of, or like a Zoolander or anything, because they've sort of already done what they've needed to do. So they shouldn't really redo them. Not to sound snobbish or anything, but a lot of the movies I've watched I've really enjoyed watching. And I wouldn't want to sort of redo them. So, and then there's Pride and Prejudice, which has been done 3 times. Probably shouldn't do another one, but they probably will make another one, like in 20 years' time or whatever.
I don't think we'll have to go that long. I'm sure there's another one coming. They did one with zombies a few years ago. They did a Bollywood one. So,
they did too, didn't they? They did do that. I don't think I've watched a lot of really horrible movies to be able to go. Apart from Jeepers Creepers, like that was really, really bad.
Yeah, there's 4 of those. So,
yeah. So, have they done a Jeepers Creepers too? I feel like they did another one.
There's 4 of them.
Oh, there's 4.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah.
The popular answer is Back to the Future. Everyone says don't remake that one. Don't touch Back to the Future. That's the popular one.
Because it's been done, and it's. I agree. Actually, Back to the Future, like. I loved watching that film too. And Home Alone is probably another one. Like, they've already done like 3.
There's 6 of them now. They remade that one last year.
Really?
It's on Disney.
It sort of loses it, doesn't it?
It's okay.
Yeah,
they remade it. They kind of. Well, it's kind of a sequel. It's not really a remake, but they brought it out last year for Christmas, and it's okay. I had some problems with it from a story point because if you obviously haven't seen it yet, so it's worth a watch. It is funny, but I said to Tina after, I said, look, the robbers in this one got punished. I don't think they should have. Like, I felt bad. Like, normally, like when you watch the original one, Harry and Marv are bad guys. Like, if they get hit in the face with a paint can, you're like, that's great. These people, like, their motives were very different. They weren't trying to steal, like, because they were bad people. There's actually something else going on. So whenever they got hurt, I was like, this is really cruel, to be honest. Like, I felt bad for them. I was like, why are they getting hurt? So that was my biggest problem with it. But yeah, they've done a few Back to the Futures. They've done a few Home Alones.
Yeah. I just think sometimes when you have so many like you have like movies like The Godfather where it's sort of like it continues on, or like Lord of the Rings, it continues on. Like I think you can safely say that those are good movies that you could remake. I don't know if will remake and continue on with the story, and it would still like travel quite well. But yeah, I think you're right. Some of the films, don't redo them. Like as I said, like before, like Austin Powers, probably to redo it again would be really, really tricky, and I don't know if it would translate very well. Like I don't think you could have characters like Fat Bastard on there.
No.
And, you know, some of them probably wouldn't travel very long with this whole like body positivity thing. So yeah, I think that would be my answer there.
I think you're right. And also, like, who do you cast? Like, who do you cast instead of Mike Myers? Like, who is the modern version of that? I think there is a modern version of that. So, no, that's a good answer. Nice one. That's it. You made it. Start to finish. Podcast done. Excellent. Well, look, everyone, thank you again for listening to this episode. I think Liz was a fantastic guest, and she'll definitely be back in the future. I'm sure of it. In the meantime, if you want to give us a follow on Instagram, we are I was a teenage film snob on Instagram, _ teenage word, because Instagram was very mean like that. If you like the show, please rate it, give it 5 stars, give us a review. Apparently that means something, so go ahead and do that. Until then, as we always say, Liz, I'm sure you know this, I was a teenage film snob, but I'm trying to be better. We'll see you all next week.
Thank you. See ya.